What the Feminism is a well researched podcast which sheds light on intersectional feminism in India. Though recommended for everyone, it is largely aimed at South Asian audiences. If anyone is hurt by any feminist comment made in this podcast, we advise you to get checked for a possible condition of misogyny, misandry, homophobia, or something of that sort. Our socials are always open for suggestions or messages. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed this episode.
Hi everyone, welcome to season 2. It's been a long break, and I'm so happy to be doing this again. In this season, we'll discuss recent happenings, real life events, so that we get a clear idea of how feminism stands in the real India. We've planned so much for this season, and I can't wait to put all that out for you. In this episode, we'll discuss Indian political representation of women, especially women from marginalized sections. All the links I've referred to while making this episode are down below in the show notes, so please check them out. As always, let's start with some history and facts. The Indian Constitution in 1950 had officially granted women and men suffrage. The gap between men and women voters has narrowed over time, with a difference of 16.7 in 1962 to 4.4 in 2009. Increased participation is occurring in both rich and poor states in India. Women turnout during India's 2014 parliamentary general elections was 65.63% compared to 67.09% turnout for men. In 16 out of 29 states of India, more women voted than men. To remedy low participation of women electors, India in 1994 established quotas, reservations, and constitutional amendments to reserve 33% of seats in local governments for women. Seats reserved for women are rotated for assurance that each seat has an equal chance of being reserved. After the establishment of women's reservations, political participation went from 4 to 5% to 25 to 40% among women, and gave millions of women the opportunity to serve as leaders in local government. India has had powerful female politicians, with some of them managing to ascend to top political posts, nationally and regionally, including President and Prime Minister. Indira Gandhi, for instance, India's first and only female Prime Minister to date, was a dominant political figure in the country from 1966 to 1984. Others like Pratibha Patil, Mamata Banerjee, and Jayalalitha are also very well known. In fact, India has 2 women presidents, compared to America's none, Pratibha Patil and Draupadi Murmu. Despite widespread public acceptance of female politicians in India, women's political participation in the South Asian country remains low. India slipped to rank 140th among 156 countries in the World Economic Forum's Global Gender Gap Report in 2021, becoming the 3rd worst performer in South Asia. Most of the decline occurred in the area of political empowerment, where India regressed considerably, with a significant drop in the number of women ministers in recent years, from 23.1% in 2019 to 9.1% in 2021. If we look at the broader picture, women in Indian politics doesn't seem like a taboo topic. That is because we already have women, strong, popular, idealistic women in Indian politics. But very often, the ground reality of something is very different from what we are able to see. Politics, as we all know, includes privilege and power play. We cannot talk about it without talking about, say, terms like dynastic succession. When all these terms come to play, understanding representation becomes more complex. The biggest proof of institutional failure is the continuing marginalization of the excluded, such as Dalits, scheduled castes, and scheduled tribes. Women's representation in parliament was only 3% at the eve of independence, and 70 years later, this figure has risen to just 12%. Women are also sometimes not encouraged to join politics by their families, as politics is considered to be quote unquote dirty and believed to be a man's sport. Women are more prone to be sexualized and often face derogatory remarks. Structural constraints have made it impossible for women to occupy equal space for dialogue in the political system despite having the political agency and will to participate. Patriarchy lies at the very center of these institutions, and patriarchal structures cut across caste lines. Political parties have, in fact, become major drivers of patriarchal norms. Political parties like to ensure that women do not have their own political agency. The longest pending bill in the history of Indian democracy is the Women's Reservation Bill. This is testament to the fact that systemic and structural constraints have proved to be the biggest impediments to greater involvement of women in Indian politics. Further, beginning with villages at the micro level, men have always used women as proxies to control and retain power. There are still important questions. Are women candidates just a ticket for political parties? Is it more about the gender or about the policies of the candidate? Is it really representation or the policies that actually help marginalized communities to put forward their needs and rights? All this we will get to know and discuss only within time. It actually feels nice to bounce back here. Yes, this episode was actually short and quite straightforward. The reason why I resisted from making any personal political comments is because I don't think I have the audience for it right now. I mean, I don't even have an audience. Who even listens to my ramblings? Anyways, thank you so much for tuning in. If you're still here, oh my god, wow, your patience is commendable. My socials are down below. All the links are down below. Feel free to contact me anytime. Again, thank you so much, and we will be back very soon. Take care. Bye.